Today we're looking at some chorus pedals, and I've got the Boss Dimension C Waza, as well as the TC Third Dimension, which is going to be a clone of that pedal. And then to compare that, I've got the Boss CE2 Waza here as well. The Dimension C is a bit of an unusual pedal. It doesn't have any knobs. It's just got these 4 mode switch buttons, and it's always intrigued me. I've wanted to check it out, and thanks to my friend Dave, I was able to borrow these and show them off to you. I was curious, since he had both these pedals, how different they were. Certainly the price is different. The Boss goes for $200 new, and the TC is only $50. So if the TC does a good job, that's a good deal. However, there are some other features on the DC-2. For one, it has stereo output, which actually the original 80s version of this, which is even more expensive than the new Waza version, those I've seen for $300 or $400 on Reverb. The original version was a mono input and a stereo output, which is also pretty rare for a pedal of that era. We don't see a whole lot of stereo chorus back then. The Waza version has a stereo input and a stereo output, as well as the standard and the SDD-320 mode, which emulates the rack unit that this pedal was originally based on. Even though the original Dimension C was stereo, the TC is mono, does not have a stereo output, and that's too bad. I think that's probably the biggest feature difference between these two. If you want a stereo version, you're going to need to get the Boss, or you could potentially get a splitter and a second third dimension and still come out ahead in terms of price. That would also work. So I'm going to play some loops here, and we're going to check out the Dimension C and the third dimension against each other. Check them out mode for mode. Now, they don't sound exactly the same, and that's another thing to consider with this. Whether one's better or worse, I'll let you decide. The Dimension C, there are some unusual things going on under the hood, which I don't fully know, or I would explain it better, but I know there's some phase things going on, and it's a more subtle chorus. There are different modes. You can stack 2 of the modes at once, but it's not quite like the older style of choruses like the CE1 and the CE2, which could really get into very pitchy. You could turn the speed way up, you can turn the depth way up. They can be really warbly and all over the place. The Dimension C doesn't do that. Even at more extreme settings, it's quite a mild chorus. It was originally based on a studio rack unit version, which was designed to give tracks some additional space and depth. It was kind of a 80s studio chorus, and they put it in pedal form. It's not supposed to be as extreme of an effect. It's supposed to be an enhancement, give additional stereo width and depth to your tracks, which I could see being very useful in a studio rack unit. And it's also great on guitar as an enhancement, as a finisher, as a stereo effect. You can combine different modes, and on the Boss, you can only combine up to 2, but with the TC, you can combine 3 or even all 4 of them at once. Let's check out the SDD-320 mode. This is going to be a slight variation that is more true to the original rack unit. Now let's compare the Dimension C and the CE2. Once again, the CE2 is just a different sound. It's a different type of chorus. They're not better or worse, they're just different. I love the CE2. I think the Dimension C is also really cool. The CE2 to me is such a classic chorus sound, and the CE2 Waza also has a CE1 mode. It's even more of that raw old school chorus that's really out of control, and the CE2 kind of moderated that a little bit. So final conclusions here. I think for the price, the TC does a darn good job. It doesn't sound exactly the same, and maybe it doesn't even sound quite as good. It certainly doesn't have the stereo feature, which is a big important thing, and I think extra important in the case of the Dimension C. Because it's a more subtle chorus, the stereo effect is pretty important. That being said, the third dimension is cheap enough that you could feasibly get two of these and run them in stereo with something like a line splitter or an ABY box. Now, of course, the Dimension C also has the SDD-320 mode, which isn't a world of difference, but it is nice. It does expand the range of sounds you can get from this. Do I prefer it to the standard mode? Not really, it's just different. And I think they're both cool, and it expands the range of tones you can get from this. You do have to like what it does, because there's kind of only so much range, and it's not the broadest of choruses. However, in a lot of contexts, it may be more useful as a more subtle enhancement and as a stereo effect than something like the CE2, which is very much a chorus. And if you want a chorus, it's great at that. And I love the CE2, but it is a stronger effect, and the Dimension C can be good at those subtle spatial choruses. I'm not going to rush out and buy a Dimension C. I think it's a great pedal, but as primarily a recording musician, there's so many options when it comes to choruses in plugin format. I don't think it really offers me anything that a plugin couldn't in terms of chorus, but it might be nice to look into some plugins that emulate this sound or a similar one. I do like it. It's definitely a different flavor to the CE2, which I am more familiar with because I own one, and I like it. I like the Dimension C. I like what it does. I like 80s music. I like those kind of 80s choruses. Maybe some people would think it's a little corny, but I think it's subtle enough to where it doesn't sound super dated either, but it definitely does give you that 80s feel. And so I like that. I've enjoyed playing with it. I think the third dimension did a good job keeping up with it. I just really wish it was stereo, and then it would be quite a solid pedal. Other than that, I think it does a good job for a lot lower price, so it's not a bad clone. At some point in the near future, I'm going to be comparing the original CE2 I have here from the early 80s with the CE2 Waza. I do really love that the CE2 Waza has the stereo output. That's a big advantage over the original CE2, which is mono. Other than that, we'll see if there's much difference in terms of the sound quality. I know the CE2, the 80s versions like this, go for quite a lot of money online. I mean, $300-$400. So they're more valuable than the Waza versions, but the Waza is probably more useful because it's got stereo and it's got the CE1 mode, which is quite cool. Either way, it's a great pedal. I love the CE2, and so I'm excited to compare these two and see if there's any real difference in sound quality there too. So stay tuned for that. Maybe it'll be out by the time you watch this. Who knows? I don't know what time it is in your reality. But either way, thanks for watching. Smash like, subscribe. I'll see you in the next video.